It's coming back from the river, Crossness, the Thames. I'll just mention this quickly here. The sun's going to give me a shadow, so I'll try and hold my camera like that. Yeah, just coming through earlier. Grey heron was by that little pool that forms every time it gets a bit wet, and took off. Not exactly a clean background, which would have been ideal, but still looking good. Always trying to select the photos with the wings down on birds, because generally that's where all the detail is. Undersides are usually white, not as pretty, but yeah, they look really cool when the wings are in the downstroke. But that pool over there attracts some goodies over the years. I don't know if have I posted it before. I don't know if the little ring plover was while I was when my YouTube was running, when I was monetized, or whether this was before, but I'll include some photos. It's, for some reason they were good over there, and they let you get quite close. But yeah, last time that's where I saw the wind chat arrive at the start of autumn last year. But anyway, let's get back just quickly. Coming back from the river where we had some excellent curlew action. Now, generally, the best bet for the river is to get here about half an hour to an hour before it goes out, because what I find is all the nutrients that the river brings is soaked into the mud, all the worms, all the whatever, all the little whatever's in there. I'm not even going to use the words and embarrass myself. I can't even think off the top of my head, but it refreshes all the mud. The birds seem to feed really well on a fresh tide. And just as I was leaving, after sort of having a look about, not much really going on, there's all the waders, all the usual stuff, but I've got quite a fill of them over the last few weeks. This curlew, I heard the call. Now, if I was at Elmley, I'd have known straight away what it was. I go, yeah, it's curlew. But here, I was walking, I heard it again. I went, whoa, 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 that's not what I usually hear here. And I couldn't place it at first, but it's one of those things. If you hear a bird call and you're not familiar with it in a certain area, it doesn't sort of ping your attention. But it got, I went, well, that's a curlew, isn't it? And I couldn't quite pinpoint where it was coming from, whether it was the left side of this bank or the right side. And then I saw it, because what happens is, I've been here before trying to get it. I think if I can be here just as the tide goes out, it'll be closer in, but it never seems to be closer in. It always seems to wait to the tide is much further out. So it's like saying, ha, you can't photograph me from that distance, can you? Whatever, whatever. The things are going around in my head. But this time it was really close, to the point it was filling the frame. Fantastic. So I just filmed it for ages and ages, trying to catch it with its beak in the mud, pulling out worms. And this one, the beak on this one looked particularly long, to the point it was like the one I got. What was the one I got in Los Angeles? The long-billed curlew. Probably called that because I'll show you a picture of it. Beautiful looking bird, because it's got a longer bill than this one, but this one was very, very long at Crossness. Incredible. I mean, that was really digging down and pulling out some juicy worms. And I'm always, you always wonder, they obviously know, they can see the holes or the potential areas where the worms are, because they dig in very specific. They look around and they go, right there, there's going to be a worm there, and they go in. But I was filming this for a while. The eye tracking was working pretty well, but every so often when it went past the teal, for some reason the teal must be the bright red head, the tracking would follow that. So I had to be on point with turning the autofocus off. But very annoying. I'm going to have to see if I can go into the settings, and there's a setting where you can select to have it change subjects. And I think I might have that selected, so I better go in there and have a muck around with my settings. Apart from that, there was a black-tailed godwit, which is coming into its breeding plumage big time. Most of them are greyish there, still got the winter, but this one's going brown and orange very, very quickly. And so I filmed a little bit of that. Yeah, it was, they're much more chill than the red shank was, I did get this red shank, and the lighting is very beautiful. Yeah, the sun's just going down now, probably about half an hour, and I just looked into it, and now I've got sunspot right in the middle of my eye. Idiot. So yeah, the box over there, the bird box, just had a kestrel land on it, so maybe some babies in 2-3 months time. Oh, I was caught up. No raptors today except kestrels. Good afternoon, folks. So my first time after waiting 5 years to come here, I finally got out to Bossenden Blean Woods, RSPB Blean Woods in Canterbury, Faversham. So here we are, we're parked up by the Agri Company, AGRII, parked up just over there. Oh, am I getting lens flare in it? I hope not. So yeah, there seems to be a lot of traffic here. I'm trying to wait for this traffic to stop. I've been waiting for it for about 5 or 10 minutes so I could get some bird sound, but these cars won't stop coming through. Anyway, look, you can see there's plenty of room to park here. So just park there. The Agri Company's just over there, and there's the entrance. Yeah, don't trust the sat nav, because I actually just put in Bossenden Wood, which was the last place I saw online that somebody had seen the lesser spotted woodpecker, and it took me down the dual carriageway. It said turn left, and there was no left. So that was the first mistake. I didn't do any research before I got here. I kind of just like to wing it. That's my style. I go somewhere and I'll work it out when I get there. So hopefully I've made the mistake and you won't have to. So yeah, I mean, the place is alive with song. I mean, I've heard nuthatch, chaffinch, long-tailed tits, robins, all the other tits. So yeah, let's get on with it. I did hear a call when I first got here that I didn't recognize. So I've had a look on YouTube for the call of the lesser spotted woodpecker. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it sounds different. I haven't memorized it yet, but I'll listen out for it. And I'll just be looking at any bird that makes a sound. So let's just get on with it. So I'm about 20 minutes in now. And yeah, there's been a good little bit of activity. First thing I saw, something drop down from a tree onto the ground. And usually if it was in my area, I'd say dunnock, but it was the male chaffinch. Filmed it going around the base of this tree, all distant stuff. And the lighting isn't great. And then the familiar call of a firecrest, giving it large, 8 or 9 feet off the ground. So I'm just keeping an eye on shadows. Pigeon. Yeah, firecrest. So the last person I saw to come here got a firecrest as well. So they're obviously one of the first things you see when you come in, and it's obviously got a little habitat area around here where it's resident. And then we got a nuthatch. Again, all this stuff is quite distant. I'm full on that 800 millimeters, getting it in shot. It's just for the record, for the video. If I get any better stuff, then great. It's gone really quiet now, which is great because then I'll hear any scratching or pecking or the call. I've listened to the call a few times on YouTube trying to hear it and get it into my brain. But if I hear anything that I've not heard before, I definitely make me look. 2 seconds ago, I literally just saw the first flash of red, black and white, but too big to be the lesser. Obviously the great spotted, I saw 2 of them. So the idea would be in something like this, in an area like this, is not to just keep walking and looking, because everything is then moving in your periphery. What you want to do is stop, defocus, and let movement be picked up by your peripheral vision. And yeah, that'll give you a little, something moves over here through the trees, a little silhouette, then have a look. Okay, get back to it. Well, this seems to be the place for firecrest. Yeah, I've heard at least 4 lots in 4 different locations, unless they're following me. I doubt it. So I've got some pictures this time. I think there's one there, and there's one behind me calling somewhere. Yeah, and there's one moving through that bush. So is that? Yeah, I think it is. Oh no, those are blue tits. But there was one moving around that bush over there. So yeah, check these shots out. I've got several. Still going for it. So I've got several shots. It's very harsh lighting in here, but they're okay. And then I got my first drumming over in I don't know, where am I? I'd say east side of the wood. So I followed it through. It sounded very loud. So I thought, I don't know what the difference would be in the drumming of a lesser spotted and a great spotted, but it sounded big. But we tried it because it was making such a racket, and I made way over, and I saw the movement in the tree, and it was a great spotted. But it's the first bit of video I've got of great spotted doing its drumming into a trunk. So I'll take that. If I come away with that, it's another little extra bit of bird footage to go into my ever-growing library. And I've heard 2 coltits singing. I don't think that can't be the same firecrest. There's a firecrest there and one over there. No goldcrest. Some chaffinch, long-tailed tits. Heard a chaffinch calling over here quite loudly, and I'm sure there was a bird, a thrush-sized bird, eating on the edge of the wood. This is where I am now. I'm on the edge. And the only thing I could think it would be, because it was light coloured, would be a redwing. And by the time I looked through my lens, it was gone. And then, and then a jay flew up there. So nothing, there's none of these usual great quality photos I'm going to get today. That firecrest was okay, because for some reason, these guys are really tame here. But apart from that, I doubt I'm going to get anything super close. But the night is young. And oh yeah, I've been hearing buzzards locally. So, and pheasant. Okay. Oh, right, back at my cab. Here's a coltit. Mamma mia, about 5 hours on foot. So nothing to show you, I'm afraid. I just saw brief glimpses of the lesser spotted woodpecker. So David, a local birder, Bexley birder, was there, and he gave me some tips, and he messaged me and said he was underneath it. And when I got there, he showed me a photo, and it was from underneath. And he said he was there 5-10 minutes. He heard it above him and he just couldn't see it. It was on this silver birch. And he was like, listen, he said he put his hand on the tree to see if he could hear it or feel it coming through. But he said it took him 10 minutes to find it. So what chance have I got? So yeah, I mean, a couple of tiny little extra bits and pieces. An albino squirrel. I saw this white thing on some branches ahead of me. And my first instinct was it was just a shopping bag. But I didn't even think about it. I'd seen a white albino squirrel coming up a few times in the past on the Facebook birding group. And they said it. I didn't really pay any attention, whatever, if I ever saw it. And it sort of, my brain just clicked in. I went, that could be that albino squirrel I've seen months ago. And got the camera, zoomed, focused, bosh, white, the albino squirrel, or at least one of them anyway. So I filmed it and moved around this bush. And then eventually, as I was coming towards it, it acted like any other grey squirrel. It jumped on a tree and climbed up, and then it went up to a branch, and it kind of did that thing where it sat behind on the V shape of the branch, hoping I wouldn't see it. I don't know if it knows it stands out a mile, if it's seen itself in a reflection in a pond. But I got some photos at that point. And yeah, it kept moving its way around until it was out of sight. So that was okay, that's a little extra for today. And went round, and then I heard a tapping, which I got really excited about, but it wasn't a fast tapping like a woodpecker. So yeah, it turned out to be a nuthatch. And as I focused in, what it was doing, it obviously found a gap in the tree, and it had a nut. And it was very cleverly putting the nut inside the gap to hold it in place while it was hammering away and trying to break it. That's a great little bit of extra footage as well. So, I mean, I don't see stuff like that normally. So they're all little bits of extra great footage to go into the vlog. So I'll come back again one day. Now I know roughly, how things work here. We didn't do far into Blean Woods. We did the sort of Bossenden end. I don't quite understand how the whole system works. I've not been here ever before, 5 years, but I've got a much better understanding of it and where roughly to look and what to listen for. So I'm happy with that. Hope you enjoyed. Just popped into Jeskyns community Woodland for a little change of scenery. It's only a 15-16 minute drive from where I'm in Bexley Heath. Yeah, it's quiet. I don't know what it is about blue skies and low wind, but just really quiet. I mean, I can hear some chaffinch and that, but I mean, I never come away with nothing. Never come away with nothing. Never. I think that's, I'm trying to work out if that's a double negative. Anyway, a buzzard, common buzzard. So this common buzzard was coming in from the distance, and I just get a bit of video for the record, and it kept coming and coming and coming. And it just started circling above my head. Beauty. So I was able to snap loads of photos off, flick to video, try all sorts of little settings. Went to use the electronic shutter mode, and then I thought, you know what, let's try and reduce the distortion. We'll go for first curtain sync, and that uses them halfway between, as I've said before, electronic and mechanical for reduced distortion. So I got my fill. And yeah, it's harsh lighting because of the sun, and you're sort of firing off the shots hoping for that one where it's kind of facing the sun and it's all lit up on one side perfectly. So just don't be afraid, fire away, take all the shots you can and then usually when I take shots like that of a buzzard out of about 40 or 50, I'll only take out 1 or 2 of them and keep them. But the video was quite nice, circling over my head. And I've seen about 3 of them. They call, you can hear them from a distance on nice cool days with low wind like this. And then on one of the fields where there are no horses at the moment, skylarks, calling skylarks, displaying skylarks. Now I had to compensate for the harsh sun. They were flying literally into the sun. I almost looked into the sun with a lens, but I'll let you listen to it. So yeah, it's nice to be on foot because usually I'm at Elmley in the car, and trying to get the camera up through the cab window is really hard work. So yeah, I hope they don't put anything in that field. I wonder if they check fields like that for nesting birds before they put horses and stuff in that will trample the nest. I don't know. But it's a shame anyway. This bit here, if you've ever been here, this bit that runs through the centre, there's a playground there. When I first came here in 2020, 2021, you're almost guaranteed to see yellowhammers. This bush tree line scrub here was just full of yellowhammer. And yeah, I got my fill here. And on the other side, apologies for this lens flare, let's quickly do it. Over here, loads of linnets, where I got my linnet lifers, big flocks of them. And as you can hear, nutting, very quiet. So, I don't know why it's so quiet anyway. Someone explain that to me. Blue skies equal quiet. So unless we see something else before we go, yeah, that's just a little day out, quiet day out. Not too. I'll always come away with something, you know. Well, that was a bit epic. It was so quiet today. I'm down at Crossness in Erith, and it's been quiet everywhere. I don't get it. The sun comes out, it gets a little warmer, and all the birds vanish. I'm going around in a haze of boredom, and then it all just kicks off. I'll start playing you the footage now. Okay, so just walking around the recycling plant, and obviously I want to see if the peregrine's up on the building, and I'm showing you the peregrine. He's eating, she's eating. Sorry, I'm going to put it on the bottom if I find out what it is, because I should. This is terrible. I'm supposed to be a source of information, and I don't know the difference between a male and a female peregrine falcon, so I'll look it up. Anyway, I was on the path. I looked over, and in its usual place where it sat on the ledge, it wasn't there. And then I saw something moving on the corner. And sometimes pigeons do sit up on the corner, well, all over the building. So you have to check every bird. And sure enough, it was a peregrine. It was eating something, I could tell. So I quickly set up my 4K crop mode, which gets me closer, but it was windy. So I thought, I'm not going to be able to film this because I can't put it on the tripod. So I filmed it against the whiteout sky. One half of the frame is exposed okay, and the other half's just white. And I just thought film it for a record. And I sat up there and filmed it for a little while. And what I did is I actually handheld it, but not handheld. I had it on the tripod, but I held it with my hand, trying to hold it as steady as possible. And to give it credit, it did a good job. It didn't bounce too much. There was a couple of moments when that problem I've spoken about and many people know about with the R7 and the 200 to 800 millimeter, if you try and steady the camera too much, the lens too much, it starts shaking after 7 or 8 seconds. It either has to be completely handheld or completely stationary on a tripod for it to be smooth and non-shaking. Manufacturing for, I don't know, anyway. So I thought I could see it was beating something largish, so it had a long way to go. So I thought, okay, well, look, let's come down along the path here and try and get a more fully exposed, better exposed background as well. So I came down to the path and I got this angle, looking up. This is much better. Can't help it that the sun is coming through from the left and it's causing some harsh lighting. There you go. What can you do? You take what you can get. So I filmed from there for a while, and that was pretty epic as well. I just kept filming and filming, hoping for anything unusual outside of the eating, whether it sort of pulled up a big chunk of it so we could ID the bird. Obviously, it must be a bird. But I did actually, when I was walking along, sorry about the noise from the plant, but when I was walking along the Thames, I saw it fly up quite high up. So I came along here initially to wait for it and see if it comes back with anything. So it actually caught me by surprise that I was standing on the path and it was already there, unless both of them are out and doing something. So anyway, I filmed from there for a while, and then I came around to this spot and filmed from arguably closer, but underneath more. So I couldn't quite make out the prey as well. But it was the good thing was it was pulling it up every so often and ripping chunks off. And then I stopped and took a few photos. The photos get nowhere near as close. Once I crop in, they'll be okay, but a little bit of heat haze. But the photos will get nowhere near my 4K crop video. And so I kept going, and eventually it finished, started cleaning its beak. So I did a few pictures cleaning the beak, did a bit of filming cleaning the beak, get as much range of footage as possible, doing different things. And then I thought, what happens if I get a takeoff? Let's switch the photos and wait. And I did sort of recognize the movement, although sometimes it doesn't always work out, but this time it did. I could see it getting ready, it prepped itself, and I caught it taking off. I think, I'm going to put them all up. I think I might have got 3 that were decently sharp once I've cleaned them up a bit out of that sequence. So that's just made the whole day. It was looking really, really grim, bird-wise, and that's really, made the difference. I am super happy. And I've gone from being sort of dragging my feet to yay, like my heart racing. So, I'm going to go back to the cab now. And anything along the way there. Sometimes there's goldfinch and stuff feeding in the bushes. So, excellent.